All right. Thanks for joining, folks. We'll give it a couple minutes. Thanks for being early. And again, like always, we appreciate you guys showing up in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. We try to keep these short and punchy. So 30 minutes is what we're aiming for. The comments will be turned on. We'll try to get your questions answered while we're going through the presentation. We usually don't stop and do Q&As because that would probably take. We probably should though, right? We should probably schedule an AMA, Paul,
Yeah,
to
we
where
can
we can
do one
just
next time if you want.
do long form. Maybe, yeah. So next one. So let's do that. Next one will be an AMA where it's all questions from you guys on any topic you want, and then we'll just sit and answer those questions. But today we got a special guest joining us today. We've got Jon Madsen, who's going to give us a few updates. As you guys know, the new charter went out. And also, there have been a lot of questions on different listings, things like that. I don't think John's on yet, is he? I don't see him here yet, but John will be joining us soon, and we will get some questions answered. There's a lot of questions going around in different platforms about where we're at on certain things, and sometimes we get a little ahead of ourselves just because we're working on so many things at the same time, to where maybe one week one priority gets all the attention, the next week it's something else, and so we do our best. We try to stay on top of things as much as we can. There are also certain initiatives that we, meaning Scott, Paul, Ali, Amy, some of the other team, we don't handle directly. Certain initiatives that we have are strictly community-led efforts. Okay. And so what I mean by that is if certain things that are done by the community pertain to mostly the token, right? One of the things we try really hard to be compliant in is making sure that we're not categorized as a security, right? We don't want to run afoul of the SEC. We're trying to do so many good things as a company, solve so many problems, that we try very hard to stay as compliant as we can. And there are certain things, and maybe John can speak to this when he jumps on a little bit later, that have to be community led. Anything doing with the token or the token value, that's on the community side. As members of the community, you guys can put forth initiatives, you can do certain things, you can talk in certain ways that I, as president of Element United, never will. And I've challenged people. I've said, go back in anything that we've done and see if you can find me talking about the token's going to do this, the token's going to do that. I don't do that for very specific reasons. Now, different community members can do that, and they have done that. So there are certain things that we do. They're community led. Now, we're going to talk a little bit today about this community council, some of the people who are on it, and what their role is in the element ecosystem. And so I know a lot of the stuff falls at my feet, and people say, Scott, how come this isn't happening? How come that isn't happening? First, there are a lot of things happening at the same time. When we're trying to solve problems in the mining world and create NFTs and certify mines and NFT jewelry and tokenize in-ground assets, there's just a lot happening. And so we are going to take the load off of my shoulders and have the community help with this. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let me move this up so I can get a better view of it. Okay, one second. And again, we appreciate you guys jumping on. We will turn the time over to John here shortly. And all right, so as you guys know, we are Element United, and we always put the disclaimers up just so that you guys understand where we're at. And sometimes we get a little bit loose with this. We forget to show the disclaimers that ever you guys can pause, screenshot that, and read that disclaimer. As you guys know some of the core team who are usually on these calls. The team is much, much bigger than the four of us here. We have a lot of shared resources with legal development, accounting, sales, marketing, all of these things. But a lot of that is, like I mentioned, being moved toward this community-run effort. Now, before we move on, I want to go ahead and give a quick recap about what we talked about last week. Last week's call, or sorry, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we talked about what differentiates Element United from other projects. other projects in our ecosystem, other projects that are out there. And I think one of the things that's the most exciting, that it gets people pretty excited about what we do, is that being in the mining, gold, precious metal space, we have ownership in significant gold assets. Not only gold, but we have ownership in a granite mine, in a jade mine. But really, because right now gold and silver are on everybody's mind, people get excited, and we have to remind people, listen, we have significant ownership in mining assets. We own 2% of a company out in Tanzania that's got a 100,000 acre gold mine that was done in conjunction with the government, with the president there. She's an ally of our partner, who I'll talk about here in a second. We have our own ownership in 368 acres in a separate mine. But these mining assets are getting big offers from big players. We mentioned this a couple weeks ago, that there are very, very huge numbers being thrown around. And when this company, or when some of these assets get sold, they don't go to Scott. They go to Element and the Element community for us to build, for us to put money toward marketing, toward market support, toward all of these things. And that is community money. And it's in the tens of millions, if this deal goes through. It probably won't happen until later this year, but Element United owns gold mines, and that's really exciting. Now, these assets don't back the token. We could, if the community voted and said we would like the ownership of these assets to actually back the token, that could be done. We probably won't do that, just because these assets are in the ground. Some of what we own might actually be sold, and so that would make it weird that if we actually sold some of this, and then it's backed by a token, what happens? And so there's a few complexities here, but we have some very exciting things. You guys remember this picture from Jay, is the second from the left, standing up between Chris and David, and he's our partner out there. And he's standing on some of the land that we have ownership in. And so it's really, we have to figure out how to market this better, how to let people know, because a lot of the projects out there are smoke and mirrors. And because we're a blockchain crypto project, some of the muck and the grime of the industry automatically falls on us. People just think, oh, I mean, there's some comments, in Discord, oh, these guys are blah blah blah. We have actual assets, and we're solving real problems. We have real products. But what we're going to talk about today, we're going to take a little bit of a transition, and this is a good transition point, because you can see there with Jay. Jay is a member of our community council. And you're going to see a lot more initiatives moving forward will be done with the help of our community. Now, our community council at Element is rather large. I think we've got about 23 members. I'm not going to show you everybody on the community council. I'm just going to talk about a few people on here. So if you are on this call and you're on the council and you don't see your picture, don't worry, you're fine. We're just going to talk about a few of these members. And so, as you can see here, you guys, we've had Mitch Burton on here before. He's a very valuable member of our community. He's got some resources he's putting into our community. Next, there is Jay Peters. Jay is our partner, and that's where our ownership in these mines came from. Several years ago, Jay was given a huge chunk of nodes for this ownership, and it's going to end up being a huge, in my opinion, win-win for both of us. He's probably one of the larger node owners, besides some of the internal guys, because of this deal that we cut with him. You guys know Todd from Gold Rush. George Wright is my partner from Ghana. He was also on the TV show Jungle Gold with me. Down below, we've got Josh Tapp, who's going to be running a lot of our marketing, doing a lot of things, outreach to the greater to the public, to kind of put Element on the map. He's incredibly connected. I'm going to be spending the next few days with him in Florida, leaving first thing in the morning. We've got really big, exciting partners, and many of you guys know Jake. Jake is a valuable, awesome member of our community. We also got Brad and Angel Brockbank. Brad does a lot of leadership, CEO training. He's a very valuable resource to me. I'm a guy that had a shovel in my hand several years ago, and so sometimes the corporate executive world is can be difficult. And so Brad and his wife Angel have been a great resource, and they've got an incredible network as well. And then we've got Pat Barry, who runs one of our other blockchains along with Will Taylor. Pat runs Galvin, Will Taylor runs Grow, and these are very valuable guys to me. They're blockchain presidents. We feed off of each other, help each other, and we share community, we share resources as well. Some of you guys know John Tetro and Jim Bunch, very involved with the Connect community. Both Titans, both of these guys have been insanely successful. John has made so much, probably almost more than anybody, had the most financial success in crypto than almost anyone I know. And then on the bottom row, the fun guys, right? We've got Bud Zoll, Jake Fordham, and Jon Madsen. These are the legal guys. This is our legal team. Bud Zoll down on the bottom is actually my father-in-law, and he's got 40 years of legal experience at all levels. Jake Fordham has been with the team since day one, and you guys all know Jon Madsen. You're about to hear from him soon. And of course, down in the bottom right hand is the visionary, Wright Thurston, obviously the founder of Gala Games, one of the most successful gaming blockchain platforms in history. They were the number one token, I think, in 2021 in the world. And so we have a lot of experience, and we use this experience to grow the company. Now, it's not just a bunch of guys that work with me and Paul and everybody. This is truly a community-led company. And so some of these guys work full-time as attorneys and do other things, but we're going to be using the community. And so I'm going to go back to the previous slide. You guys have met Mitch. Mitch came on, as some of you guys know. Mitch is a very valuable member of our community. He's got a lot of financial commitments he has coming toward us to do things like marketing. And some of you guys have been asking about what's our marketing plan. Well, we are going to be hiring Josh Tapp, who's a big member of our community, just below Mitch in this picture, and his company. He's got a marketing company, and so some of the resources that are going to be coming in, some from Mitch and other sources, are going to Josh's company. To do the marketing, to take our message to the world, to let people know about not just the ELMT token, but about our other products and what we're doing. And so a lot of the big initiatives that we have are being done by the members of the community. All the stuff that we're doing with Jay, with the mining in Tanzania, is all being done in coordination with Jay. Some of the other things we're doing with Todd are tokenization of in-ground assets and using his scanning technology to find out what's in the ground and then selling off individual pieces of land to individuals. And so we're making gold mine ownership accessible to the masses. And so we are going to be our first initiative here, the big initiative, is marketing. And so we're going to be working closely with Josh and his team. Josh runs multiple businesses, but he has committed, and he says right now he's all Element, which is fantastic. And some of the resources that are going to be coming into this ecosystem from guys like George and Mitch are going to be flowing into Josh's company to help us take our message out there. So the beautiful thing is these are guys who love our company, who are committed to it, who are members of our community council, who've committed not only time and energy, all of their skills and resources, but financially as well to help take Element to the next level. And so, and we've got a great team. This is half of our community. There are other members. We have two members in here in accounting. We've got members who have extensive mining experience, but we've put together our team very strategically. The reason why Bud Zoll is on our team is because he was a gold mine owner in Ghana. The reason why Mitch Burton is on our team is Mitch was Bud's partner in Ghana. These guys have massive experience in gold mine operations and in gold mine ownership. Same with George Wright, who is my partner in Ghana and on the TV show as well. But we did mining long before the show came and long after the show left. And so these are all guys with significant experience, and also with the Brock Banks with management and leadership. And so we have a phenomenal team here at Element. Sometimes I think people think, it's just a few people, but no, there are, when we do our weekly calls as a community, there's 50, 60 people on these calls, all of them helping us fulfill our mission. And so there's a lot happening. As you guys know, there was a community vote that happened. We had a new charter update. And so I don't know if John is on here. If you are, John, can you say hi? I'm not. Oh, there he is. There's John.
I'm on.
Hey, John, you will be happy to know that I used a younger picture of you here. You should have just kept your camera off to let people, believe that you were this younger guy, but you just ruined it by turning your camera on. But we appreciate you being on here. John and I have known each other now. We met in 1995. Four.
Or
1994. Yep. So we're 31 years in. Been really, really good friends since then. And so John is going to cover a couple different issues today. One of those issues is just talking about the recap of the charter, some of the changes in there, and then also an update on some of the things we're working on with like Base and Binance and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and not share my screen. Oops. That was a slide from last week. And John, the floor is yours. We try to keep this, John, to about a half hour. So if you can take 10 minutes or so and just kind of cover the high level of what's happening and also just give us an update on the fun stuff you're working on.
yeah. So super high level. Element shares a lot of technology with a lot of other projects that a lot of people know about. And that shared technology is good because there's economies of scale. And so there's this decentralized ecosystem of various blockchain-based communities. One of them is Connect, and Connect basically allows people to connect and purchase and sell and market services for all these different decentralized communities. A lot of times we call the decentralized ecosystem the decosystem. And this latest charter proposal was proposed by various people in the community to give the technology capability, especially on the distribution side through smart contracts, give that same technology capability to every blockchain community. So that was one of the biggest things that happened. And so, for example, over the next few months, the nodes are going to be licensed and associated with NFTs, which will allow for nodes to, number one, drop through distribution, number two, be transferable, number three, be donatable to charity. That's a technology piece that we wanted to make sure Element had involved. So that this proposal that was proposed to lots of different places in the community was proposed to the Element community, and the vote went out last week, and it passed. The other thing that is kind of cool is the community council that Scott was talking about when we first jumped on the call. That community council is the Node Network Governance Committee. That's been in the charter all along. And this recent proposal basically allows that community council to act as like an executive governmental body. So if you remember, Element United DAO LLC is not owned by people. It's a true DAO. This community owns Element United DAO and the blockchain-based products and services that come from Element United DAO. This community also owns all distribution governance. So anything that affects how the tokens are distributed from the smart contract, the community controls that. The company can't do it. It has to be done by community vote. And so one of the things that this recent charter did is it also initializes a battery, which is basically secondary distribution. So once the smart contract distributes assets, cryptographic digital rewards to everybody, those can cycle through. And then the creation of a battery means community members can donate to a battery already mined tokens. And then the community can vote as to how they want to distribute from that battery. And so the creation of this battery allows for secondary distribution, which is really cool because you've got primary distribution for proof of action rewards that people are doing daily actions. And now you've got secondary distribution, which is really nice, and it's all community controlled.
So,
So
John,
yeah,
give us an example of where the battery rewards would be used. Like, for example, our relationship with Osmint. If you were to go and buy gold using the ELMT token and then from Osmint, and then you get a 5% rebate in Element tokens, those tokens would be coming from the battery, right?
correct. Yeah, and there are other communities that had already voted in batteries. Green has one, and they have power pay, and they have a rebate on power for people paying their power bills, and that's coming from the green battery. So with Element, it's that similar thing. We want to be able to have people to go out and use Element, the utility of this token, use Element to purchase Element products. You've got your cool heirloom NFTs, you've got your other products, And then with Osmint, you're finalizing this thing where you can purchase rare earth or gold or other minerals. And then you want to incentivize people to use Element Token to do that. And so
Yeah,
the
and then
battery
also
conversion.
using the Element token, our new initiative, to pay your cell phone bill because you're going to get tokens back. I'm not sure. We haven't figured out the specifics of that yet, but that's another use case and all designed to get people to use the Element token. So why is it important that people are using the Element token?
Well, the more people use the Element Token, the more transaction volume there is. And so basically, that's a really good thing because when anyone ever sees that a cryptographic asset is being transacted a lot, there's a lot of confidence that can be shown in that. And the other thing is we want to make it so that people look at Element and go, I want Element. I want to purchase this with Element. I want to go buy Element from the market so that I can use Element to do this. I want to take advantage of this rebate that's currently being offered by going to the market and purchasing Element. So the battery is one of the things that facilitates that for the community. So that was put in place as well in this recent vote. So now
Do
I
we know how
forget,
many tokens are going into the battery?
several billion.
Yep.
I don't know the full amount.
And
And
those are
there,
being donated by members of the community.
yeah. And then also
I,
there will
I believe
be,
I'm one of those members of the community donating.
yeah, you may be. One of the other things that is happening is there's going to be nodes assigned to the battery. These won't be voting nodes. They'll just be battery nodes that'll have token that'll go into the battery that then the community just determines how the distribution works for that. So this vote actually empowered the assignment of nodes to go into the battery. And this also in your vote, I'm looking it up. Yeah, your proposer had three different groups of voters. So as the community grows, there's going to be node owners that'll have voting rights. Builders, these are people that are out basically building the Element community by growing it through basically allowing more people to come into the community. And then hodlers, meaning the people who have a lot of token, they'll have some degree of voting rights too. So that was in the charter. And let's see. Oh, this formally accepts the ownership interests. So the community is accepting this in the charter. All the intellectual property are owned by the community. It has all the algorithms for smart nodes. It has smart flow, and I'll just explain smart flow because a lot of other communities have that too. Smart flow is, let's say somebody wants to purchase something with, I don't know, Japanese yen. Great. Element's going to take Japanese yen. The community wants to take whenever they want. But the community wants everything to operate based on element. So when the yen comes in, the very first action will be to convert yen to element. And then all other flow for community operations, for operations associated with Element United DAO, the DAO LLC that the community owns, for distribution of commissions, for all other operations, that'll be flowing through smart contract. And that is a smart flow all based in Element, which is really cool. So that'll mean the yen comes in, it's converted to Element. The Element goes out. When Element United DAO needs to do something, then Element United DAO will operate in Element, ELMT token, just like everybody else operates in Element. So all things will be transacted in that utility token. So it's another thing that allows people to see the value of and actually utilize the ELMT token. So that's also in the charter that was recently passed.
Okay, great. So let's talk.
By the way, I saw a question from Andrew. It just popped on my screen. We want to have more timeline than tech. It's prioritization timeline. The NFTs associated with nodes is one of the first things that's happening. The build out of all of the builder incentives with impact block bots that are associated with ELMT community members, Element community members, that will be built out second with things like your daily score, your continuous improvement score, all of those scores, just like the Win communities had this all along. And it comes into a smart contract and it dumps right through. We're building that out for Element. So I don't know how it's being prioritized specifically, but there's a 180-day time table where we're building out this tech so that within 100, by the way, this is with every proposal. So first you have to pass it to make sure the community wants it, then you build it out. So we built in 180 days to build out this tech, and it's a priority of what things are happening, and that has a lot to do with the foundation's developers, because what they want to do is, because they're shared technology, when they build something for Element, they want it to work for everybody else, same, similar, so that everybody has that economy of scale that this decentralized ecosystem benefits from. So that's how the timing is working. I don't have the exact dates right now, but over the next 180 days, all of these new voted in procedures are going to be built out.
Okay, let's talk back in, I would say August or September, we made an announcement that we were working on Base that then connects to Coinbase and also Binance. And obviously, that's a big deal. And since we announced that, the community is very anxious to get answers on number one, when is that going to happen? Why is it taking so long? What are the things that need to be done? And so obviously, first and foremost, we probably announced that a lot sooner than we should have. There's no probably about it. We announced that when we shouldn't have because it was a new thing that came out and we didn't understand it yet as far as like how long it would actually take. And we were told, hey, we're working on this, go out and announce it to the communities. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and get the Powerball numbers, but I would also go back to that time when we said Base and these other ones are happening imminently and take that back. But give us, John, because your fingers are, in multiple areas right now with how this works. Just tell it to us straight. Where are we with this? Because I always
Yeah,
just go to you guys, and then give the info, and then when it doesn't happen, I get filleted by everybody. So just tell us where things are at and what's the timeline there?
yeah. So for the Element blockchain, we've deployed a bridge to Base. So that's already worked. The bridge smart contract is deployed. They're working on a two-way um, bridge, meaning Element to Base, Base back to Element. I've actually seen that two-way. It hasn't been deployed to Base yet. We're actually getting an audit. That audit is very important. As you know, in blockchain world, there are points of vulnerability, and bridges are attack vectors that are attacked the most. So the bridge, the two-way bridge, which means you can bridge to ERC20 and then back to Element Native. The two-way bridge for ERC20 to Element Native there is no two-way bridge. It's a one-way bridge. When you go to ERC20, you're sitting in ERC20 world. We want to incorporate a two-way bridge so you can go back to Element Native from ERC20. You can go back to Element Native from Binance. So there's a bridge built to Binance right now and a bridge built to Base. We're finalizing the audit on the two-way bridge, which would mean you could go from ERC20 to BEP20 to Base, or you could go from any of those using the Element Native blockchain, the layer one Element blockchain, as the source.
Okay.
The
So the
bridge slowed
pools,
us down.
okay, so the bridge slowed us down. Pools are being set up, liquidity pools.
Yeah, for sure. In
Okay.
fact, so once we have a bridge capability that we're comfortable with and it's been audited, then the liquidity pools will go on there. The last time I talked to the tech guys was like in December. I thought it was going to be done. I think I probably even told you that.
You
Um,
did. Yep.
it's it's very close. It's very close.
But
So it's taken
and
everybody
I know
longer
every
than
time we come on, we
I
say
know. I can't like
weeks, and I get it. I get it, guys. I want to know as much as you do. I have more tokens than all of you combined. I want to know desperately when this is happening. And so, John, just give us something. It doesn't have to be, you know, uh, or say, I'll know in a couple days. Do we just? I just need something for this community who's
how
been
about give
loves
me
us.
one week,
We love them
because
back.
give me one week because the bridge audit the foundations team just contracted for the bridge audit. And then once that bridge audit is good, then we've got the deployment. Then we're basically going to deploy the liquidity pools. Once the pools are sitting on Base, Base will pick it up, which means Base is Coinbase. And so then it's all about volume churn. So quite frankly, this is just me, Jon Madsen. I haven't bridged a lot of token to ERC20, but I may bridge a lot of token to either Binance or Base or all of it. There are bridges between the two Element United and Foundations, the team that's providing the shared technology
Yeah,
for a
because
lot of the ecosystem.
I haven't bridged to ETH yet. I have a bunch to ETH, but I've stopped because I want the rest to go to base.
And there are bridges that Element United is its own native blockchain. So this is how I'll kind of steer this
You
for
got about
everyone to
1 minute.
know. It's a native layer one blockchain.
Yeah.
Great. Which means the ELMT token, we want it to be agnostic. Because Element United isn't only solely dependent on fees. Most blockchain projects are like, come to our project. Our project is the best. Do everything on our project because we want your fees. Element actually has products. Element actually is selling heirloom NFTs. Element has carbon credits. Element has gold mine interests. Element has like gold interest that can be traded for liquid real assets. So why that matters is because ELMT can be traded on Base, Binance, Solana once we get
So
that bridge up and
if
going.
you've already bridged to ETH, you can back out of ETH and into one of these.
That's the two-way
That's
bridge
the
is what
two-way
we're
bridge we're
working
working
on.
on. Because a couple questions are saying, well, I've already gone into ETH. Why would I leave ETH? Or if I want to leave ERC20, that's how you do it through the two-way
Yeah,
bridge.
and eventually we want to have bridges also between, and there already are bridges that we don't control
Yeah.
between Ethereum to Base or between Base and Binance. We want to be agnostic. That tech build out has been way bigger than they
Okay.
anticipated.
So, John, we're going to give you a week. We
Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you for coming on. Our time is almost over here. We'll try to get all your questions answered, but we appreciate all you guys coming on. Obviously, keep putting in your answers. We'll try to get back to you guys on some of these questions that didn't get answered, but we appreciate you guys jumping on, and we'll do this again in 2 weeks, and hopefully have some very solid timelines and on the two-way bridge and everything else. So thank you for joining us, guys. And John, we appreciate your time. Everybody else, thanks for jumping on. We had a good turnout today, about 50 of you guys on here today. And be as transparent as we can. Exciting things are happening. Incredible things are happening with our products, with our partners, with our funding, with a whole bunch of stuff. And most of the members were on our call today. So we had a lot of community members, and maybe we'll have some of them jump on. Maybe Mitch, you're on here. We're going to get you to talk next week or in 2 weeks, okay? So we'll get you guys all on here. Thank you, guys. Love you guys.
awesome.
Thanks for supporting us.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep. See ya.